Chosen One, you just eliminated all the disrespect and the plans they had, and your winning was never part of their design. You weren't surviving an attack. You were never in danger. This wasn't defense. It was elimination by alignment. You walked forward. They watched you closely. They studied your patterns. They analyzed how you moved through the world naturally. They saw people gravitate toward your energy without you even trying to attract them. They noticed how your presence shifted entire rooms without you saying a word. They observed how your authenticity made their fakeness visible to others without you pointing it out. That observation period, that's when they made their fatal mistake in judgment. They thought they were gathering intelligence to attack you effectively. What they were actually doing was witnessing power they couldn't begin to comprehend. They saw the effect you had on people and thought it was something they could replicate or destroy with enough effort. They didn't realize they were watching divine energy operate through a human vessel who was chosen for specific purposes, so they built their plan against you carefully. They crafted lies that sounded believable because they mixed truth with fiction strategically. They recruited people who were already jealous of what you carry. They created an entire network that was designed to suffocate your light before it grew brighter. They wanted to trap you in a narrative so limiting that you'd never rise to your full potential. They needed you to remain small and manageable so they could appear large and in charge. They focused so intently on your human expression that they never saw your spiritual backing. They analyzed your personality traits but missed your divine purpose completely. They studied your behavioral patterns but overlooked your sacred assignment. They thought they were preparing to fight you as a person. They were actually preparing their own destruction by coming against something much bigger than they understood. Every moment that was spent plotting against a chosen one seals fate in ways that can't be undone. Every lie that was crafted against you was being recorded in realms they don't believe exist. Every manipulation that was deployed was building a karmic debt they couldn't begin to imagine paying. Every person who was recruited against you was actually being positioned to witness their downfall when it came. There's something else they missed that's about to become very relevant to your current reality. While they were busying themselves with building their attack strategy, you were being prepared for something massive, something so significant that dark forces had to try stopping it before it manifested in your life. That preparation wasn't random or accidental, it was strategic. Divine strategy was operating on timelines they couldn't see or track. They created an entire false reality around you with calculated precision. They spread rumors that painted you as unstable, untrustworthy, and maybe even dangerous to be around. They wanted everyone who encountered you to see you through the filter of their carefully constructed lies. They needed the illusion to be so strong that even you would start believing it about yourself. For a moment, it might have even seemed like their plan was working. Maybe you felt the shift in how people treated you suddenly. Maybe opportunities that seemed certain became uncertain overnight. Maybe you even questioned yourself and wondered if there was some truth in what people were whispering about you behind closed doors. That's exactly what they were counting on for success. They needed you to doubt yourself because a confident you was completely untouchable. They needed you to feel confused and disoriented because a clear-minded you was absolutely unstoppable. They needed you to stay in emotional turmoil because a peaceful you was unshakable no matter what came. But their elaborate illusion had a fatal flaw they never anticipated in their planning. It required your cooperation to sustain itself. It needed you to believe their narrative and adjust your behavior accordingly. It depended entirely on you accepting the role they assigned you in their story. And you never did that. Not really. Even when you questioned yourself temporarily, even when you felt the pressure mounting, even when everything around you seemed to confirm their lies, something deep inside you refused to accept it as truth. That refusal broke everything they built. Their entire operation was constructed on a foundation of your perceived weakness. When you didn't crumble on cue, when you didn't change to fit their narrative, when you kept being exactly who you are authentically, the foundation cracked. Once it cracked, the whole structure started collapsing piece by piece. The collapse isn't happening in private, where they could hide it. It's public, it's visible, it's undeniable to anyone who is paying attention. Every person who believed their lies is now watching those lies unravel in real time. Every door they claimed was permanently closed for you is opening right in front of witnesses. Every blessing they said you'd never receive is manifesting for all to see. Every prediction they made about your downfall is being proven wrong in the most spectacular fashion possible. None of them can stop what's happening now. They can't control the narrative anymore like they used to. They can't manipulate the outcome, no matter what they try. They tried to trap you in an illusion, and instead trapped themselves. Now they're stuck watching you rise while they sink. They're watching you thrive while they scramble. They're watching you win while they lose everything they gambled on your defeat. If this message activated your knowing, hype this video to connect with more chosen ones on this journey. There's a specific person I need to address because this is where your situation gets even deeper. Someone was attached to you in some way. Someone who was carrying massive potential inside them. Someone who could have been operating at your level of consciousness, but they were imprisoned. They were trapped. They were controlled by someone who recognized what they possessed and decided to own it instead of honoring it. You saw it immediately with your discernment. You recognized the invisible cage, even though everyone else thought everything was fine. You saw how this person's energy was being systematically drained. You saw how their potential was being deliberately suppressed. You saw how their spirit was being controlled by someone who was pretending to love them while actually owning them like property. Because you're a chosen one who operates from genuine love, you tried to free them from that prison. You showed them the truth about their situation clearly. You offered them protection under your spiritual covering. You extended your hand to pull them out of their cage. You literally gave them the key to their own freedom without asking anything in return. They couldn't take that key from you, or they wouldn't take it when it was offered. They were so deep in the programming, so accustomed to the control, so comfortable in the dysfunction that freedom looked like the scary option. Their captor had convinced them that the cage was actually safety, that the control was actually love, that the prison was actually home sweet home, so they chose to stay locked up. Maybe they even defended their captor against you. Maybe they accused you of being the real problem. Maybe they repeated the lies their controller told them about you. That hurt you deeply because you could see what they couldn't. You could see the life they were meant to live. You could see the power they were meant to carry. You could see the purpose they were meant to fulfill. Your attempt to free them wasn't a failure at all. It was a seed that was planted, a seed that's been growing in the dark this whole time. That seed is about to break through the surface in ways that will shock everyone who's been watching. The person who had them trapped just made a critical error. They got so confident in their control that they dropped their mask completely. For the first time, their victims saw them clearly. They saw the manipulation tactics. They saw the control mechanisms. They saw the bars of the cage. Suddenly your words from before started making perfect sense to them. That person is waking up right now. The clarity is hitting them in waves they can't ignore. They're realizing something that's going to change everything. You weren't the enemy like they were told. You were the only one who was telling them the truth. You weren't the problem who was causing drama. You were the solution they were too programmed to accept. The person who had them trapped is experiencing something they never thought was possible. Exposure. Complete and total exposure. Their mask isn't just slipping a little, it's been ripped off violently. Everyone who was close enough to see is now seeing exactly what you saw all along. This controller thought they were untouchable. They'd been operating the same manipulative way for years. They were controlling, they were manipulating, they were isolating their victims while appearing innocent to everyone else. They were a master of the game. They were a professional manipulator. They were a covert operator who knew exactly how to appear good while doing evil. But they made one fatal mistake that cost them everything. They came after you directly, They saw you as a threat to their control and decided to eliminate that threat. They spread lies about you to their victim. They recruited others to carry those lies further. They built an entire campaign that was designed to destroy your credibility so their victim would never trust you again. What they didn't realize is that by coming after you, they activated your defense system automatically. Your defense system doesn't just protect you from harm, it exposes your enemies completely. It reveals truth that was hidden. It brings darkness into inescapable light. It makes the invisible visible to everyone who needs to see. So while they thought they were winning, while they celebrated maintaining their grip on their victim, something else was happening behind the scenes. Evidence was accumulating in places they couldn't see. Witnesses were noting inconsistencies in their stories. People were starting to question what they'd been told. The mask was developing cracks that became visible. Those cracks are now becoming canyons that no one can ignore. Their victim is seeing them clearly for the first time ever. Other people in their circle are recognizing the manipulation patterns. The control tactics that always worked before are suddenly failing completely. The mechanisms that kept everyone in line are breaking down. The false image that was maintained so carefully is crumbling in real time. There's nothing they can do to stop it now. They can try to reassert control, but it only makes the manipulation more visible to everyone. They can attempt to rewrite history, but too many people now remember the truth. They can claim to be the victim themselves, but their actions have been too well documented. They've been caught, they've been exposed, they've been revealed. There's no coming back from this level of exposure. Now we need to address what all this drama was actually about. It wasn't really about you, or that imprisoned person, or even the controller. All of that was surface-level distraction. The real battle was about what's coming for you. It was about what's been trying to reach you. It was about what you're about to step into with both feet. Your opposition knew something you might not have fully recognized yet. They saw your trajectory before you fully stepped into it. They recognized your potential before you activated it completely. They identified the threat you represented to their little kingdom before you even knew you were building an empire. That's why they came so hard. That's why they pulled out every manipulation tactic. That's why they recruited an entire network against you. They weren't reacting to who you were in that moment. They were trying to prevent who you were becoming. Think about that reality for a second. They saw the future version of you and panicked. They recognized where you were headed and tried to redirect your path. They identified the level you were about to reach and attempted to keep you small and manageable. Their attack wasn't about your present circumstances, it was about your future potential. That tells you everything you need to know about what's actually coming. Whatever they tried so desperately to prevent must be absolutely massive. Whatever they worked so hard to block must be incredibly significant. Whatever they sacrificed their own integrity to stop must be world-changing. People don't go to war over small things. They don't risk everything to prevent something minor. They don't burn bridges and expose themselves trying to stop something insignificant. They came that hard because what's coming for you is that big. Here's what's driving them absolutely insane right now. All that effort, all that scheming, all that manipulation, all those lies, all those resources, all that time that was invested, it didn't work. Not even a little bit. They delayed nothing. They prevented nothing. They stopped nothing. They only succeeded in exposing themselves and activating your protection. What they tried to block is arriving anyway. What they attempted to steal is manifesting regardless. What they worked to prevent is happening despite their best efforts. It's arriving bigger, stronger, and more powerful than it would have been if they'd never interfered. Their attack didn't weaken it. It fortified it. Their schemes didn't diminish it. They amplified it. Their opposition didn't stop it. It accelerated it. While they were attacking the visible you, they had no idea about the invisible preparation happening simultaneously. While they were spreading lies about your present, they couldn't see the future being constructed behind the scenes. While they were trying to destroy doors in front of you, new doors were being built in dimensions they don't even believe exist. You were being prepared for something they couldn't begin to comprehend. Skills were being developed they didn't know you needed. Connections were being formed they couldn't see happening. Resources were being positioned they didn't track. Wisdom was being downloaded directly into your spirit they couldn't block. All of it was happening in a realm beyond their perception or influence. That's the difference between human scheming and divine orchestration. Human scheming operates on surface level, where everything is visible and can be manipulated. Divine orchestration operates in depths where human hands can't reach and human eyes can't see. They thought they were stopping your progress. They were actually giving divine forces more time to prepare something even bigger than what was originally planned. For some of you, this is about love, real love, divine partnership, not the toxic, controlling, manipulative energy you've experienced before. This is someone who sees your power and celebrates it, someone who recognizes your light and wants to walk beside it, not dim it, someone who understands your purpose and wants to support it, not sabotage it. Let me be specific about what this looks like, because your opposition tried to convince you this kind of partnership doesn't exist. They wanted you to believe that everyone operates from hidden agendas, that all relationships involve power struggles, that love always comes with conditions and control. They needed you to accept their version of relationships so you'd never recognize the real thing when it showed up. This person coming in or already present in your life doesn't need to manage you, doesn't need to monitor your every move, doesn't need to control who you talk to or where you go or what you do. They're secure in themselves, and they trust who you are. They don't see your connections as threats. They see your purpose as something sacred they're honored to witness and support. They don't dim themselves to make you feel powerful or expect you to dim yourself to make them comfortable. They understand that two bright lights together create illumination, not competition. They know that your success doesn't diminish them, and their success doesn't threaten you. They operate from abundance, not scarcity, from partnership, not ownership. For others, this isn't about romance at all. This is about purpose, calling, destiny. That thing you've been building in private is about to go public in ways that shock everyone. That business idea developing in your mind, it's about to explode. That creative project you've been working on, it's about to reach massive audiences. That calling you've been preparing for, it's about to become your reality. I must interrupt this transmission for just a moment. Are you really chosen? Prove it. It's easy to watch videos about chosen ones. It's another thing to put yourself to the test. If you're still here, that means something, but talk is cheap. Real chosen ones take action. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve divine justice. You put on the headphones, press play, and watch your enemies choke on the rope their own lies created. If you're done consuming and ready to prove you're chosen, start your Destiny Engine for $1 today, join the Obsidian Inner Order live checks, and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. They tried to steal your ideas and present them as their own creation. They tried to convince you that you weren't ready or qualified or experienced enough. They tried to create so much doubt in your mind that you'd hesitate until someone else took what was meant for you. They tried to block the resources you needed so you couldn't move forward even when you wanted to. Your purpose isn't just an idea that anyone could execute. It's not just a concept that the first person to market wins. It's a divine assignment that only works when you're the one doing it. You're not just bringing a product or service or message, you're bringing a frequency, an energy, an anointing that can't be replicated or stolen. They can copy your words, but they can't carry your spirit. They can imitate your methods, but they can't match your authenticity. They can try to serve your audience, but they can't provide what only you were designed to give. This isn't about who gets there first. It's about who was chosen to carry it. You were chosen, specifically, intentionally, strategically. You were prepared for this exact moment. You were given exactly what you need to fulfill this exact assignment. You were positioned for this exact opportunity. No amount of interference can change that divine selection. They think you actively fought back with some strategy. They're looking for the moment you counterattacked with your own schemes. They're trying to figure out what tactics you used to defeat them so thoroughly. They're coming up empty because you didn't do anything they can identify, nothing they can see anyway. What actually happened is this. The moment they decided to attack you, they triggered an automatic elimination system, not something you control consciously, not something you activate with intention, something that's built into who you are as a chosen one, something that operates whether you know about it or not. Think of it like this. They thought they were attacking a regular person. What they actually attacked was a divinely protected vessel carrying specific assignments. The universe doesn't play games when it comes to protecting its chosen ones. The moment they struck at you, they struck at the purpose flowing through you. That activated consequences they never saw coming. Every lie told started unraveling in the most public ways. Every person recruited to hurt you ended up exposing their own dirt instead. Every door slammed in your face opened wider somewhere else. Every scheme set in motion collapsed before reaching you. Every trap laid caught them instead. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't luck. This was systematic elimination of threats to your divine assignment. This was automatic protection, activating the moment you came under attack. This was spiritual law enforcing itself, without you having to lift a finger. You didn't even know it was happening at the time. You weren't sitting around planning revenge. You weren't strategizing your counterattack. You weren't plotting their downfall. You were just continuing to be you, continuing to walk in your purpose, continuing to operate from love. That was enough. More than enough. That was everything. When you stay on your frequency, when you refuse to descend to their level, when you keep operating from your authentic power, you become untouchable, not in a defensive way, in an offensive way. Your very existence at that frequency eliminates anything operating below it. They tried to drag you down to where they could fight you. You stayed elevated where they couldn't reach you. From that elevated position, your light did what light always does to darkness. It eliminated it, automatically, completely, permanently. Right now, at this very moment, your opposition is going through something that's breaking their minds completely. They're experiencing the complete failure of everything they built. They can't understand it. They can't explain it. They can't accept it. They threw everything at you, every manipulation tactic known to them, every resource at their disposal, every person they could recruit. They were so certain of victory, so confident in their strategy, so sure you would crumble under the pressure. Instead, they're the ones crumbling. They're the ones facing consequences. They're the ones dealing with exposure and judgment and karmic debt they can't pay. The worst part for them, they don't even understand how it happened. They're experiencing cognitive dissonance at a level they've never felt before. Everything they believed about power and control and manipulation is being challenged by your continued existence and success. Everything they thought they knew about how the world works is being proven wrong by your reality. They're replaying every move they made, trying to find where they miscalculated. They're reviewing every lie told, trying to figure out why it unraveled. They're analyzing every scheme deployed, trying to understand why it backfired. They're coming up with nothing. The problem wasn't their execution. The problem was their target. You were never someone they could defeat, because you were never operating in the arena where they had power. They were playing checkers on a chessboard in a stadium built for basketball. Wrong game, wrong rules, wrong dimension entirely. Some of them lie awake, replaying conversations with you, searching for the moment you fought back, so they can understand how you won. They're convinced you must have done something, used some tactic, deployed some strategy, called in some favor. They can't accept that you won by simply being you. That's too simple, too elegant, too outside their understanding of how power works. Others watch your life from a distance, waiting for the collapse they're certain is coming. They keep telling themselves this is temporary, that eventually their predictions will come true, that given enough time you'll fall and they'll be vindicated. They need to believe this because accepting the alternative means accepting that everything they thought they knew was wrong. A few are experiencing something even more disturbing. They're starting to question their own worldview. If someone they targeted so thoroughly can thrive this completely, what does that say about their understanding of power? If lies spread so carefully can be exposed so publicly, what does that say about their perception of truth? If schemes planned so meticulously can fail so spectacularly, what does that say about their belief in control? These questions are dangerous for them. Their entire identity is built on their ability to manipulate outcomes and control narratives. If that ability is proven to be an illusion, then who are they? What power do they actually have? What value do they actually bring? That's why some double down, going harder, getting more desperate. They need to prove to themselves that they still have power. They need a win, any win, to validate their worldview. They'll attack someone else, manipulate another situation, create new chaos, just to feel like they're still in control of something. Every move made from this point forward fails faster than the last one. Every manipulation is seen through more quickly. Every lie is exposed more publicly. Every scheme backfires more dramatically. Once marked as someone who attacks chosen ones, the losing doesn't stop. It multiplies. Your opposition made a fundamental miscalculation. They thought the battle was about reputation, or opportunities, or relationships. They thought if they could damage your image, close some doors, poison some connections, they would win. They didn't understand that none of that was the real battle. The real battle was about frequency, about vibration, about spiritual positioning. In that battle, they never stood a chance. Here's what they missed. You're not trying to compete with them. You're not operating on their level. You're not playing their game. You're on a completely different frequency where their tactics don't work, their weapons don't reach, and their schemes don't matter. Let me explain what frequency actually means in practical terms. Frequency is the rate at which you vibrate energetically. Everything vibrates. Your thoughts, your emotions, your intentions, your presence, all of it creates a frequency that attracts matching frequencies and repels opposing ones. Your opposition operates from low-frequency emotions, fear, jealousy, hatred, control, manipulation. These emotions vibrate slowly and densely. They attract chaos, drama, and instability. They create outcomes based on scarcity and competition. They generate realities where someone has to lose for someone else to win. You operate from high-frequency emotions, love, peace, purpose, authenticity, joy. These emotions vibrate quickly and lightly. They attract order, harmony, and opportunity. They create outcomes based on abundance and collaboration. They generate realities where everyone can win without anyone having to lose. When low frequency attacks high frequency, it can't sustain the interaction. It's like trying to drag someone underwater when they have a life vest on. You might pull them under for a moment, but they're going to pop back up. The more energy spent trying to keep them down, the more exhausted you become while they remain buoyant. That's what happened with your opposition. They tried to drag you down to where they could fight you. Your frequency wouldn't let you stay there. You might have dipped into lower emotions temporarily. You might have felt the weight of their attacks, but you couldn't sustain that low frequency because it's not your natural state. You kept popping back up to your actual frequency. Every time you did, their schemes lost power. From that elevated position, you don't have to fight them. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to prove anything. You just have to maintain your frequency. Your frequency alone eliminates everything operating below it. Think about how light eliminates darkness. Light doesn't fight darkness. Light doesn't defend itself against darkness. Light doesn't prove it's stronger than darkness. Light just is. In its presence, darkness ceases to exist. Not because light attacked it, because light's very nature eliminates it. That's you. That's your frequency. That's your presence. You don't eliminate your opposition by fighting them. You eliminate them by being you at the highest level. Your authentic frequency creates an environment where their low-frequency tactics simply don't work. That's why you're about to dominate. Not through force, not through strategy, not through competition, through presence, through frequency, through being exactly who you are at the highest level. When you show up in your purpose, fully activated, completely aligned, operating from your true power, you don't compete, you dominate, not aggressively, naturally, like the sun dominates darkness just by rising, like truth dominates lies just by existing, like light dominates shadow just by being present. Your opposition is about to watch you step into a level of influence and impact they can't touch. They're going to see you thriving in spaces they'll never access. They're going to witness you operating at frequencies they can't reach. They're going to watch you winning in ways they can't even understand. You're not going to be thinking about them. You're not going to be focused on beating them. You're not going to be celebrating their downfall. You're going to be too busy building, creating, loving, serving, and fulfilling your purpose to even remember they exist. That's the ultimate domination, not destroying your opposition, making them irrelevant, not beating them in competition, operating in dimensions where competition doesn't exist, not proving you're better, being so elevated that comparison becomes meaningless. They'll still be talking about you, still obsessing over your moves, still trying to understand how you won. You'll have moved so far beyond them that you forgot they were even part of your journey. That's not revenge. That's transcendence. That's domination through elevation. That's winning by refusing to participate in their game. We started this journey with your opposition in shock at their total defeat. Now you understand why they're shocked. They thought they were playing a game they could win. They never realized they declared war on forces they couldn't see, using weapons that didn't work, against someone who was never fighting back. You eliminated all their disrespect, not by defending yourself, but by refusing to accept it as valid. You dismantled all their plans, not by counterattacking, but by maintaining your frequency. You broke all their schemes, not by outmaneuvering them, but by staying aligned with your purpose. Your winning was never part of their plan, because their plan was built on false assumptions about who you are. They assumed you were playing their game. They assumed you would fight on their level. They assumed your power was something they could challenge. Every assumption was wrong. Those wrong assumptions built a plan that was doomed from the start. Now you stand vindicated. Not because you needed validation, but because truth always reveals itself. You stand elevated, not because you climbed over anyone, but because you maintained altitude while others crashed. You stand victorious, not because you defeated opposition, but because you eliminated obstacles to your destiny. The disrespect is dead. Their plans are dust. Their schemes are rubble. Their attacks are history. And you're just getting started. This is what it looks like when a chosen one stops second-guessing their power. This is what happens when an earth angel remembers who they are. This is what manifests when someone with divine backing decides to walk fully in their purpose. You didn't just survive their attack. You eliminated it while barely noticing it. You didn't just overcome their schemes. You dismantled them without trying. You didn't just win. You dominated so naturally they're still trying to figure out what happened. Now you walk forward into everything that was always yours, the love they tried to prevent, the purpose they tried to block, the blessings they tried to steal, the destiny they tried to derail, all of it arriving, all of it manifesting, all of it yours, because that's what happens when someone tries to stop a chosen one. They don't stop you, they stop themselves. They don't eliminate your destiny, they eliminate their own opportunity. They don't win, they activate their own defeat. You just proved that. You just demonstrated it. You just eliminated all the disrespect and plans they had while they watched helplessly. Now go collect everything that's waiting on the other side of this victory. It's all yours, every bit of it, absolutely nothing, and no one can take it from you. The elimination is complete. The elevation has begun. You're walking into it with your power intact, your purpose clear, and your frequency unshakable. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your victory. It was always going to be this way. Their loss was guaranteed the moment they came for you. Your win was secured the moment you stayed true to yourself. Welcome to the other side of elimination. Welcome to the beginning of elevation. Welcome to the life they tried to prevent and ended up preparing you for instead. You've already won. Now live like